Now at 10, Fort Scott Community College prep for Independence Day celebrations. Plus, the grand opening of the City of Carthage new playground. And a Missouri man is dead after a drowning incident at the Lake of the Ozarks.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
A jury finds a man guilty in the 2017 shooting death of a Clinton, Missouri police officer. This is KOAM News at 10. I'm Amber Jenkins. The jury found 45-year-old Ian McCarthy guilty of first-degree murder. The trial lasted nearly a month, with the state seeking the death penalty. Evidence shows McCarthy shot Officer Gary Lee Michael Jr. during a traffic stop, and he left the scene. Officer Michael was a U.S. Army veteran and served with the Clinton Police Department for less than 1 year. The jury was unable to reach a decision on McCarthy's sentence. They did agree that a death sentence could be appropriate. The court will decide McCarthy's sentence at a hearing scheduled for September 8th. A Joplin man is facing charges after a SWAT team was called in on a domestic disturbance. Donald Smith II is facing charges of domestic assault, robbery, and resisting arrest. The incident started Saturday morning about 11 a.m. When officers arrived at the 2100 block of South Sargent, they saw a man enter the home and refuse to come out. Authorities called in the SWAT team. They were able to get the man to exit, and they took him into custody. Police say a firearm was involved in the disturbance, and one victim did suffer minor injuries. A Missouri man is dead after a drowning incident at the Lake of the Ozarks. According to reports, 56-year-old James Roy from Kansas City was last seen near an anchored vessel. Police say it's unknown how he went into the water. However, he failed to resurface. Roy was later pronounced dead at Mimosa Beach. Meteorologist Sam Lane joins us with the first look at weather.
All right, thank you very much, Amber. We are looking at mostly fair skies across our area this evening. However, we had some earlier showers and thunderstorms, but they were very isolated in nature. If you're heading out to the lakes, and I know a lot of folks are tomorrow, looks like it's going to be pretty good as far as the lake levels at Grand right now, right at normal, 80-degree water temperature. Over at Table Rock, about the same, maybe a little bit below a foot above normal, and 84 degrees on the water temperature. In Stockton, they're looking pretty good too right now, a little under a foot above normal and 74 degrees. And we're looking down the lane and seeing a hot holiday, but the drought is also continuing, but we do have some increasing storm chances. And also we have a little bit of a cool down coming, and I'll tell you all about that in weather in just a bit.
Fort Scott has its annual 4th of July fireworks show tonight at the Fort Scott Community College. We got an inside look into what the process is like to set up these explosive shows and how important it is to have these shows in the community.
You know, it just reminds you we're in a free country, and it's just so awesome to be able to, you know, the show, what it does, you know, it's really the story behind it, you know, why we can be able to do it and what it means and everything. And it's just, you know, it brings people together, which basically what freedom is about.
Be sure to be safe this 4th of July, whether you're going to a fireworks show or putting on one for yourself. Chatters in Pittsburgh tonight is celebrating the 4th of July with a bang. The restaurant hosted their annual fireworks display. It's a free event for anyone who wants to come and watch some fireworks. Live music began just now at 10, performed by the Wayward Betties. There's also food and drink specials at Chatters. There's still time to go enjoy the show, and you can find Chatters at 2401 South Rouse Street in Pittsburgh. That sound is signifying when a community picnic with a fireworks display in Purdy, Missouri kicks off. The Terry family has been organizing the display for 8 years now and had a fireworks stand for 12. North Business 37 is closed to traffic from Highway C to Washington Street and Berry Avenue. It will be closed until 10:30 p.m.
No doubt the culmination of our entire labor effort is the fireworks show at dark. To see this little town packed with every street lined with people sitting in blankets, sitting in the back of a truck, just watching the fireworks show is such a blessing, and it's the main reason that we do it. It's the culmination of everything that we do.
There's also a sign scavenger hunt currently going on until tomorrow. All you have to do is find the Terry family's fireworks sign. Whomever finds the sign gets some free fireworks. Safety is important when celebrating the 4th of July. Reporter Savannah Harrison shares ways to prevent injuries and when to seek medical help.
And there's always a lot of good food and a lot of good conversation that happens on 4th of July. It's a really fun holiday, but that holiday can take a really bad turn if somebody gets injured.
A warning for families this 4th of July to make sure you're staying safe around fireworks during your celebrations. Doctors say they see many more burns and eye injuries around this time of year.
Absolutely, lots more. Going to be much more apparent during the couple weeks leading up to and including the 4th, and then a day or two after. Really the highest incidence of fireworks injuries.
Experts at Cox Health have some tips on how you can stay safe while you celebrate America. For starters, make sure you're prepared, have water nearby, and ensure everyone is a safe distance away from the fireworks display.
Making sure that your viewing area is at a safe distance, making sure that where you're storing your additional fireworks is at a safe distance, a minimum of 25 feet for standard fireworks.
It's also important to be safe while lighting up the skies. Don't ever put your body or face in the direction fireworks may shoot in, and don't relight fireworks that didn't work.
Give it a lot of time, set it off to the side or scoot it off to the side where it's out of your way, or move where you're shooting off to the side, because that may fire at a later time.
Now, if someone does get hurt by fireworks at your celebration this week, always evaluate the injury. Small burns with just a bit of redness can be treated at home by running soap and water over it, as well as using burn cream and an anti-inflammatory like ibuprofen. Anything worse than a minor burn, especially eye injuries, should be seen at the ER or urgent care by a doctor.
Particularly those injuries that cause significant blistering or bleeding, or any injury to the eye, really needs to seek medical attention to get that evaluated.
Doctors also warn against making your own fireworks or shooting more than one off at the same time. They say those cause the majority of injuries seen in the emergency room. Follow the directions on the fireworks packaging to have a safe 4th of July. The City of Carthage and the Chamber of Commerce unveiled a new destination playground today. It's at the city's municipal park. The new outdoors play area funding was from a $5 million grant from the Macomb Books Healthcare Foundation. They hope more than just the city residents will take advantage of this new equipment.
Absolutely, when those that are visiting here and living here can actually see amenities like this throughout our community, and just in the progression of more to come in our Parks Department will just only enhance and bring that quality of life to all of those that are visiting Carthage.
That grant the city received will also fund projects in each of the city's parks. The Joplin Public Library is helping feed area children this summer. Starting this Wednesday, any child under 18 years old is eligible to receive a free sack lunch. Lunches will be handed out Monday through Friday, starting at 11 a.m. in the library's lobby. The library is teaming up with Joplin School District's Nutritional Services to make this happen.
It's any kid under the age of 18, so even if they're not school age, if you're 4 or 3 or something, you can come in and you'll get a brown paper bag lunch. And the thing is, you have to eat it here on site, and it will actually be available over here in our convenience area.
Those free lunches are handed out on a first-come, first-served basis. The program runs through August 11th. Coming up, President Biden says his fight for student loans forgiveness isn't over. Plus, Southern California hotel workers are on strike for better working conditions. President Biden says he intends to pursue a new student loan plan forgiveness. That's after the Supreme Court delivered a crushing blow last week to his original attempt to cancel massive student debt. The first loan payment since the pandemic will be due this fall, potentially leaving millions of people in the lurch. Natalie Bland reports on what borrowers can expect next.
Student borrowers who protested the Supreme Court's decision Friday to strike down President Biden's loan forgiveness plan.
We will never, ever, ever stop.
Are now wondering what's next as payments are poised to resume in October.
It's frustrating to know that in another month or two, I'm going to have an additional $500 to pay. It's tough.
The Biden administration now wants to use a law first passed in 1965, the Higher Education Act, to move forward with a new plan. But it warns that process could take more time. Isa Conchola Bañez of the Student Borrower Protection Center says it could take from several months to a year.
There will be kind of a process to bring together experts and get public comment and essentially establish the contours of a new cancellation program.
In the meantime, she says borrowers should make sure their information is up to date with the Department of Education and their loan servicers. And keep an eye out in case you are eligible for the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program or income-driven repayment plans.
There are other opportunities to see debt cancellation while we are continuing to fight to see, this broader debt cancellation.
President Biden says borrowers who cannot begin making payments this fall will not face default or be reported to credit bureaus or debt collection agencies for 1 year. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Washington.
And borrowers, be aware, don't fall for the scams. Experts emphasize that the Department of Education servicers will not be calling you by phone and asking for your Social Security number. The strike by Bellhawk's front desk agents and other hotel staff began early on Sunday in Los Angeles just as summer tourism ramps up. Employers accused of the union failing to negotiate. Members of Unite Here Local 11 voted last month in favor of organizing a strike. In addition to improved wages, the union wants to improve healthcare benefits, higher pension contributions, and less strenuous workloads. Contracts expired at midnight on Friday at more than 60 hotels. The strike affects about half of the 32,000 hospitality workers the union represents across Southern California and Arizona. A winning Powerball ticket is now worth an estimated $522 million. It marks the second time this year the lottery jackpot has climbed over $500 million. Yet no one has won since April 19th. The next drawing is tonight. A Powerball ticket costs you about $2. Your ticket odds of winning are less than 1 in 292 billion. A little later, a Kentucky home was damaged by severe weather. We'll hear from the resident.
We're tracking radar as we have some thunderstorms on it, and I'll tell you what that means for your holiday forecast when we come back. Well, I hope you're enjoying your holiday weekend so far. It's been a little bit on the toasty side today, but not too bad. It could have been worse. We did have some clouds from storms earlier helping out with the temperatures. And if we take a look at Indigo Sky Casino and Resort starting out this morning, you would see that as we head through the afternoon hours, those clouds burned off, and then more clouds developed as the afternoon progressed, and thunderstorms developed in northeastern Oklahoma off in the distance, giving them quite a soaking down in that area. But we only had just a few isolated storms in the area this afternoon. We did make it up to 93, even with the cloud cover. 89 is the normal high, so we were above on the high, and nowhere near the records, of course, 100 back in that sizzling summer of 1980, and 50 not that long ago in 2014. And of course, we're way behind on the rainfall. The rain today has been mainly down in Oklahoma and in northern Texas, where there's still some storms going along the Red River, but nothing really going on in our area. We did have a few thunderstorms earlier this evening, but those have since dissipated. Instead, we're left with temperatures in the 70s right now, 75 in Fort Scott and in Stockton, 74 cool degrees up in Iola. Meanwhile, it's in the mid-60s down to the south in Grove and in Jay with 76 degrees right now. When you factor in the dew point tomorrow with the high temperatures, we're going to be seeing heat indexes over 100 degrees in southeastern Kansas and northeast Oklahoma, upper 90s elsewhere. And then on Wednesday, basically the same thing. Heat indexes in the mid to upper 90s and even low 100s, but there is some cooler air that's going to start to filter down from the north, and that's some pretty good news. And not only that, but also rain chances are going to increase too. Tomorrow, rain chances are going to be pretty much low, maybe in the afternoon an isolated storm or two in the eastern sections, but that is about it. Here's this storm system moving away from us, but we have a bigger piece of energy dropping down from the north, and that will come in on Wednesday, and that's when you can see the pretty good chance of scattered showers and storms across the area. Then by Thursday, that starts to move away, and we have drier air moving in and also a little bit cooler air as well. Rainfall amounts are going to be around 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch in most places where they do see storms. An isolated inch or so in some isolated spots, and that will certainly be welcome. Unfortunately, it does come with the risk of severe weather, and that stretches from Chicago through St. Louis all the way out to the high plains, and that does include all of our area on Wednesday. Most of the threat is going to be high winds, some heavy rain, and some hail. We're not really expecting a big tornado threat, thank goodness. Instead, we're going to see partly cloudy skies tonight with lows in the 60s and 70s. And then tomorrow, we're going to see partly cloudy skies once again with isolated storms out there, especially in the eastern sections with highs in the low 90s. And then as we go into Wednesday morning, here comes the cold front with those scattered showers and storms with temperatures in the 70s in the morning and in the afternoon, highs in the upper 80s with scattered storms still. And then the front finally moves through as we go into Thursday morning with scattered showers and lows in the 60s. Here's the next 7 days, 20% chance of storms tomorrow, and then 60% on Wednesday, and then cooler on Thursday and Friday with highs only in the 80s. And then we begin a slow warming trend as we go through next weekend, but at least temperatures are going to be closer to normal with highs near 90 and lows in the 70s.
All right, it's looking pretty good.
Pretty good.
Severe weather hit parts of south central Kentucky this weekend. That's where the National Weather Service is surveying damage in rural Casey County. Albert Buck says after the tornado warning ended, he went outside and surveyed the initial damage. He says there will be a major renovation job required due to the roof damage and more, but overall, he is thankful.
That just thank God we is all right, because I can rebuild the house back. It ain't no big deal as far as the house goes. I mean, my wife, my kids, and myself was okay. That was the most important part.
The Casey County Emergency and Management Director says there was some downed trees, but not much major damage in other parts of Casey County. Wildfires in Canada continue to burn, sending curtains of haze throughout the country and the neighboring United States for weeks. Canadian officials say it is the nation's worst wildfire season ever, and they expect air quality to remain a concern throughout the summer as long as the fires continue. It started early on drier than usual ground and accelerated very quickly, exhausting firefighting resources across the country, fire and environmental officers said. John Dales joins us now with quite the finish for the Joplin Outlaws, right?
Yeah, it certainly was. There's fireworks after the game in Pittsburgh, but plenty of fireworks during the game as well. And Carthage head baseball coach Kevin Berge is excited to fill some big shoes of those who came before him. Those stories and more right after the break. Becoming a new head coach at any school is a daunting task, but walking into a situation where your father was a Hall of Fame head coach, it's a whole different animal. That's a reality, though, for Carthage incoming baseball head coach Kevin Berge. After leading McDonald County's program for 4 seasons, he stepped away from coaching for a year, but says he missed being part of the game of baseball. However, when the opportunity came up to coach in the same spot where his father once did, well, that was too good of an opportunity to pass up.
He left some pretty big shoes to fill, so that's one thing. But on the other end of it, yeah, my dad was there, but there have been some great coaches here in the past too. So you go back and look at what this program has been built upon by some really, really good guys. I'm scared to list names because I don't want to forget anybody, but you know, it's just one of those things that there have been great baseball coaches here, not just my dad. And so just going back and kind of getting into what those guys have done, it's kind of scary at times, but then you go back and think, hey, these are good guys. I've called a few of them, and you know, they're so supportive, and it's been a really, really good transition.
Sticking with baseball, meanwhile, Outlaws back in action tonight. Now, a week ago, Joplin was in last place in the Mink League South. Today, the Outlaws enter tonight's game in first place, and this evening they play against Nevada over at Pitt State. Now, the Outlaws have been red hot, but Nevada, for whatever reason, has had their number all year. We start things in the top of the 5th. Tie game with 2 men on up until this sac bunt turns into a disaster for the Outlaws. They try to get the lead runner. Instead, the throw goes wild. He comes in to score. Nevada takes the lead. More trouble in the top of the 7th. 6-5 Nevada with 2 men on, but this 6-4-3 double play by Cole Hill and Corey Siracusa gets Joplin out of the jam. Joplin remained down 1 until Nixon Brannon, the MIAA Freshman of the Year, hammers one to deep left and out. That'd give the Outlaws a 7-6 lead into the top of the 9th, and they would get Nevada down to its final strike up until this ground ball right here. All you got to do is throw over to first and the game's over. Well, it takes a hop, goes into the outfield. Ben Lloyd chugging around third for Nevada. He'd come in and score. That ties the game and brings it to the bottom of the 9th. And in the bottom of the 9th, Brannon up again, gets all of it again. knocks out a game-winning walk-off home run. By the time it lands, the game is over. Walk-off homer for the Pitt State product on his home field. And with the win, the Outlaws are able to stay in first place. Over to pro baseball, the Cardinals drop another one tonight, this one on the road against Miami. Now, St. Louis looked like it was in pretty good position. They scored 4 unanswered runs in the middle of the game. Marlins would go for 2 in the 7th, though. These two will meet again tomorrow in the second of a 4-game series. Same deal with the Royals, though. They're in Minnesota tonight, taking on the first-place Twins. Kansas City was in it for most of the game. They actually tied it in the 8th inning after a Nick Pratto home run. The Twins answered back emphatically, though. 5 runs of their own to put it away in the bottom of the 8th inning.
Nice. All right. Well, what about that dropping the Outlaws?
Yeah, that was the game of the year, really. Nevada, another local team, too. Neither team wanted to lose, but a Pitt State product at his home field hitting 2 home runs and one of them being a walk-off is pretty special.
Well, that just made it all sweeter, didn't it?
Yeah.
Well, that's a look at sports. We're going to be right back with more news after this.
All right, isolated storms tomorrow with a high of 93, and then a better chance of storms on Wednesday, and then cooler for Thursday and Friday, and then a slow warming trend after that, but at least we'll be close to normal with highs in the 90s and lows in the 70s.
All righty, what's going on with sports?
Yeah, Outlaws back in action again tomorrow. They play a earlier game than today. 2 p.m. at Joe Becker Stadium again. They play the Griffins, trying to keep the momentum from tonight's win going into tomorrow.
Nice. Well, thank you for watching, and we'll leave you with a video of Chatters in Pittsburgh annual's fireworks display. Be safe. We're going to do this all again tomorrow. See you then.